Of course, here, as y'all can always see, it's always the white liberal that's always trying to tell us black folks who we're supposed to vote for, who we're supposed to side with, which is usually Democrats, and that, you know, it's their typical white savior complex. Funny. Trump 2024, Karen.
To respond because I've had plenty of comments like this and more even in the past. I voted for Biden. That's probably why Trump lost. I'm one of them 7 million votes that he didn't get. Because I voted. Because I was told I was black. And I should vote Democrat. So I voted Democrat. I'm not doing that no more. And after I'm witnessing them trying to take down Trump as much as possible to keep him from getting back in that White House, that makes me want to vote for him more and more and more. We need somebody in there that's real. Not these puppets like Biden. Biden is a puppet. He get in there and he get in front of that camera and he does what they tell him to do. Trump wasn't going to let them tell him what to do. See, that's why I'm looking back on all this shit now. And I'm not going to let another black person or another white person tell me who to fucking vote for. Trump 2024. That's all I got to say.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The mainstream liberal media is upset. Specifically, black folks, black liberals in the mainstream liberal media are upset because ever since Trump's mugshot, basically ever since he's been indicted, really, you've had a ton of black people come out on social media and basically declare that they are now supporting Trump, that they understand the political persecution that Trump is going through. They clearly see the corruption and they're not going to stand for it. Plus, a lot of these black people voted Biden and they regret voting Biden, like that woman at the beginning of this video clearly regrets voting for Biden because she was told, hey, you must vote for Biden or else you ain't black, okay? And it's not just Joe Biden that said this. It was the race hustlers of America as well, too, that always call blacks who are conservative or don't agree with Democrats sellouts, Uncle Toms, racial slurs, all type of things that, again, ignorant black liberals say because they're just mad that there are other black people out there that think differently than them. So, again, you had all these black people that were bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok into voting for Biden. They see where the results are. The results are a terrible economy, an open border, which a lot of black people are being affected by, particularly in these inner liberal cities, and also crime, which black people are disproportionately being affected by in these liberal cities due to soft on crime policies from Democrats. Again, I hope that this is a lesson. I hope there's a lot of black people waking up and seeing the writing on the wall in regards to the consequences of our historical voting patterns. Nobody votes like black people in this country where it's guaranteed that 90% of that race is going to vote for Democrats, okay? And then they wonder why they're in these terrible situations and Democrats always go out of their way to screw over black people. Well, the reason why is because they don't really need to earn your vote, right? They don't need to earn it, okay? You're giving it to them at a 90% clip, okay? And I am hoping that 2024 is finally the election in which we see some significant movement in regards to the black vote away from Democrats. I have my doubts, but there has been some evidence, some polls, one from Fox News, that shows that there is significant movement among black voters away from Democrats. And we also have some more evidence that that may be the case because the black liberal media is melting down over this idea of Trump gaining more black voters from the fact that he took a mugshot. And you have people like Joy Reid that are panicking over it, okay? She's crying foul over this idea that more black people are going to vote for Trump because of his mugshot. And she went off on her network about it. Take a look.
But we begin tonight with a weird trend that we've noticed coming out of MAGA Republican world. This is a party, after all, whose base is overwhelmingly the same demographic that gets its news from Fox. So let's just say not super diverse. But since Trump came along in 2016, they keep insisting that because of him, Republicanism is booming among black people, despite there being no evidence of that. And as Donald Trump's troubles have gotten more intense, Republicans are leaning into a new twist on this narrative, namely that Trump being an accused felon has broadened his appeal with black voters.
I think this is endearing, especially many black men, to President Trump.
As one black lady I spoke with earlier today here in New Orleans said, Trump's a gangster. And that means he has cred among a new block of voters that perhaps have never given him a serious look, and now they're looking again.
Black Americans throughout our history have felt unfairly victimized by the system. Historically, there's some truth to that. The mugshot unintentionally created a bond between Donald Trump and black Americans. Over the weekend, with the help of mugshot merchandise, the Trump campaign raked in over $7 million. Today, my garbage man told me he's buying mugshot T-shirts for everyone he knows this Christmas.
Oh, bless your heart. It's critical Trump theory now. And it doesn't stop with just co-opting black oppression. No, they are trying it with hip-hop culture, too. Remember back in the 1990s and early aughts, it was a normal thing for rappers to name-check Trump as a symbol for wealth and power. Nelly, Young Jock, and, of course, Kanye, who later, as the MAGA hat-wearing Ye, would be used by Trump to convince black voters that he wasn't racist. Trump in the Oval Office even pardoned Kodak Black and Lil Wayne. See, he's on your side, blacks. The irony, of course, is that his hip-hop avatar was based on a media-constructed lie, like Cribs and The Apprentice. Trump was never a billionaire. He wasn't a real estate king either. He just inherited a lot of money, lost it, declared bankruptcy 5 times, and still got bank loans because he made himself famous. And his track record for racism goes back to the 1970s. So in that sense, he was doing what some rappers do, playing a role. And Trump's electoral strategy to win over black voters, or at least pretend to make white voters feel better about him, failed. But now it's a legal strategy, too. He's even hired lawyers who defend rappers in court while yelling, defund the police. It's like they finally understand that systemic racism is real and systemic oppression is real. It just isn't real for anybody but Trump.
The next day.
And I guess all those like polls or phantom polls that show Trump has an increasing percentage of the black vote. That's all made up? I guess, they don't like that. They're criticizing the Fox poll. I get it. But Raymond, the thing is, we have to all remember.
It's not just,
hold on.
It's not just the Fox poll. There are others, Axios, Reuters, they're all saying the same thing.
Well, we have to remind everyone that you cannot be authentically African American in the eyes of some on the left if you don't subscribe to their views on a variety of issues. That's why they never thought Clarence Thomas was authentically black. Tom Sowell was never black. Walter Williams, any of the people that we featured on our show, they're not real. They're fake, or they use phrases that are horrible, like Uncle Tom. So that's what they think. They're not actually authentic. So I take issue with that.
Well, Democrats are apparently seeing the same polls that everybody thinks is make-believe, and I think they're worried, Laura. It's so bad. Al Sharpton is trying to revive Trump's urging the death penalty for the Central Park Five in the 1990s.
Let them come and tell the rappers and others that are being seduced by Trump what he did in his hometown to innocent black men.
Now, wait a minute. Rappers are being seduced by Trump. He better watch that. Joy Reid's liable to tell him he doesn't know any black people. But the interesting thing here is, of all the people trying to recall the early 90s and the late 80s, Laura, Al Sharpton should be the last one talking about race and that period. I have 2 words for him. Tawana Brawley.
Tawana Brawley.
Remember that hoax?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. The fact that Joy Reid even felt the need to do that segment tells her in her head, she knows, right, that, hey, maybe, just maybe, Trump is moving the needle. And yes, I think that it is probably not the greatest thing in the world that it took Trump having a mugshot to maybe move the needle with black people or for him to be an accused felon. But hey, that actually says a lot more about black people than it does about Trump, right? Or the people that are basically touting the mugshot as a way to get black voters to support Trump, because nobody would be saying this unless black people weren't coming out here in droves. So it seems supporting Trump because he now has a mugshot. Okay, that's kind of what it seems like from social media. But then again, that is social media, right? That is social media. That's not really hard evidence. That's more anecdotal evidence that you have black people moving towards Trump. But I would think that, again, in a world of high inflation, open borders, and high crime, that finally black people will wake up and at the very least vote for a Republican, Trump, whoever, at least 30%, right? Let's get to 30%, okay? Not sure if it's going to happen, but maybe it will. Until then, we do have articles like this to talk about where you have black liberal media, the root here. This guy is melting down over the right, or MAGA's attempt to steal the black male vote, okay, right? Steal the black male vote, as if the black male vote belongs to the left, okay? You see it here in the headline, guys. The black male vote belongs to the left, and if Trump is getting black males to vote for him, it's not because he earned it, okay? It's not because of his policies, not because Biden is doing bad. It's because he stole it, right? He stole it. So, again, they're now sounding the alarm on this and saying it must be stopped. So let's read about this. When Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stepped up to the podium at a Sunday night vigil for AJ Lagari, Gerard Gallen, and Angela Michelle Carr, the two black men and one black woman shot and killed by 21-year-old white supremacist Ryan Palmiter in Jacksonville, the crowd erupted not in tears or calls for justice, but loud and constant boos, while one man yelled, quote, "These deaths are on your hands." Yeah, that's disgusting. To blame Ron DeSantis for what happened in Florida is disgusting, okay? It really is, and all those people should be ashamed of themselves. Now, I don't pretend that Florida is some microcosm of the United States, but let's be honest, DeSantis isn't just Florida's governor. He's a GOP candidate for president, currently polling second in the race, and this was his home turf. So Sunday wasn't just a warning for the DeSantis campaign. It was a warning for the GOP, and they were watching. See, from the black voter surges of 2006, 2008, 2012, and 2019 to the 2020 returns where black voters made the difference in key states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, the political math is undeniable. When black voters turn out, Democrats win. Wait, so I thought that black people were being held back from voting, right? I thought black people weren't allowed to vote, that there was voter suppression from the GOP. Again, it's just so funny how these people talk out of both sides of their mouth, right? They'll tell you on one hand that the GOP is suppressing the black vote. Okay, they're keeping black people from voting because requiring an ID is racist. And then on the other hand, they'll tout how much black people are voting more than ever. Again, which one is it? You can't have it both ways. You can't say that there's voter suppression while more black people are voting than ever. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Of course, we don't have to look any further than 2016 when Donald Trump put the age-old divide and conquer tactic by targeting 3.5 million black voters in key swing states and managed not only to drive down black turnout, but convince 14% of black men to actually vote for him, so he won. It's like the old expression says, you might not win with us, but you certainly lose without us. Yeah, so clearly this expression applies to the Democrats because they know that without the black vote, they can't win. Now, Republicans can win without the black vote, right? Republicans don't actually need the black vote. They just need black people not to vote Democrat, okay? And this is why these people are so afraid. They're very afraid, and the reason why is because they know that if black people don't turn out, then Democrats are going to lose. And it doesn't matter if black people actually vote for Trump. What actually really matters is the fact that they're not voting Democrat. That's what really matters, okay? So Democrats, they're in a very, very, very tough situation with black voters because they have to get that 90% clip and also the turnout as well, too, in order for them to consistently win. They can get that 90% clip, but if they don't get the turnout, the actual raw numbers, the votes, then they're going to lose, okay? So, again, that's a very, very, very tough situation for the Democrats to deal with. And that's why they're panicking right now. So what does this have to do with a Sunday night vigil in Jacksonville, Florida? It's simple. It reminds us that the dissatisfaction and distrust black voters, particularly black men, feel towards the GOP is real, deep, and organic. It is the Achilles heel for MAGA Republicans, particularly on the national level. I mean, not really, again, because, again, the GOP they don't need those votes. They just need those people not to vote Democrat. It's not just Florida and Ron DeSantis. Across the board, the GOP not only repeatedly fail to take the issue impacting black votes in America seriously, they painted a target on our backs we can look at Donald Trump comparing his indictment for trying to overturn the 2020 election with 9 black teenagers wrongfully accused and convicted for raping 2 white women in 1931. We can look at Vivek Ramaswamy comparing Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley to a modern Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. We can look at the racist gerrymandering of congressional maps, which, you know, Democrats do that too. They gerrymander just as much as Republicans do. Okay, but again, they never have anything to say about that, right? They never have anything to say about that. The GOP's rabid opposition to voting rights. Again, apparently voting rights under attack, but black people are voting more than ever. Again, these people talk outside their mouth all the time. The MAGA war on critical race theory and history itself, and more. But it also reminds us that the GOP knows how to neutralize that threat. The fact that DeSantis dared to enter that podium without reading the room tells us that the GOP is bold and willing to pull for black votes even when the odds are low. They've done it before and they've done it again. Wait, so DeSantis didn't show up because, I don't know, maybe he's showing leadership as a governor. There was just a mass shooting and he's there to support the community. Nah, he's only there for black votes, right? Again, these people, it's incredible. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, okay? If you don't show up, you hate blacks. If you do show up, you hate blacks. Again, this is no-win situations. So black men must be particularly organized, mobilized, and united on election day, and Democrats can't afford to take us for granted, but the stakes are high for all black people, and the issues that impact us the most are on the ballot box. Wait, so what stakes are high for black folks? Okay, I have not seen what is so bad for black people under a president like Trump, right? Having all-time low employment, is that bad? Okay, is the First Step Act, was that bad? Was opportunity zones bad? Right? Black people were doing better than ever in this country under Trump. And yet these people are coming out here still trying to make an argument that black people voting GOP or the GOP winning in 2024 is some type of existential threat to black folks. It's ridiculous. I mean, they go against all facts and reality to spin this racial narrative to try to keep black people emotionally voting for Democrats. And hey, up until this point, it's worked. So I don't blame them, because it seems to me that when it comes to black people voting, the reality of our circumstances don't actually really matter, right? Don't really matter. Again, take a look at what happened in Chicago, okay? Lori Lightfoot destroyed that city, and then they voted for a far left progressive, somebody that was even worse than Lori Lightfoot, to continue to destroy the city, instead of actually voting in a way that actually would have been best for black people in that city, which would have been being tough on crime and cleaning up the city. Instead, they voted to be soft on crime and for illegals to invade the city. Now they're boohoo whining and crying about it. So again, you know, emotional arguments like this to try to get black people to vote Democrat are going to be coming out like crazy, because the writing's on the wall. The tide is turning. They know that the tide is turning. It's not turning fast enough. It's not turning hard enough, in my opinion, but I think that it is turning, okay? And one of the reasons why is because we're seeing so much pushback in the mainstream liberal media now from this idea that black people may be considering voting GOP, okay? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.